So I know you guys are super curious out there as to whether or not I've been converted into a romance lover. And should I make you wait? Yeah, let's wait till the end of these book reviews. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to pop in with a little reading update for the Autumn Amour readathon event that is going on during the month of September. And this event was created by Scott and Becky over at the Bookish Bryants, and somehow I kind of snuck in there as a co-host. I don't know how that happened. But I'm here and I have no romance recommendations for you out there if you were looking for some, because I haven't read a lot of romance. So this event is really giving me the opportunity to explore the genre a bit. And I did reach out to some of the other co-hosts to get some recommendations, and yeah, I think that's working out pretty well. I've made some progress. I've actually read 3 romances so far, so I'm off to a pretty good start. And the first book I want to talk about is My American Duchess by Eloisa James. This is actually a recommendation from Chrissy over at the Return Cart, so thank you for the recommendation. This book is set in England. You've got an American heiress who has had 2 broken engagements, and in a last-ditch effort to make it to the altar and kind of save her reputation, she goes to England to try to find an eligible bachelor, and she finds one. It's a man of means. It is the Duke of Trent, and actually there are 2. There are twins in that family, so we get to see a little dynamic there. I think you know where the storyline is going to go. She is, engaged to one twin, but of course the other twin is going to be her love interest. He is really the one who she is interested in, but she's having all these conflicting feelings because she doesn't want to have another broken engagement. She doesn't want to disappoint her family. I really enjoyed this book. The one thing that I thought was pretty cool was the dynamic there with the American heiress and the Brits, because there was a lot of humor there related to the American Revolution, and Mary, her whole kind of personality and mannerisms were just seen as completely abhorrent, but they were very American and kind of very outspoken, and so that kind of puts her in a weird position because she is desperately trying to fit in. She wants to be a proper English duchess, but she's really struggling with, setting aside who she is. And there's a very funny incident in this book regarding a pineapple. And I thought that was really funny, really cute, and I really enjoyed this book overall. I do have a question though for people out there who read a lot of this type of book, this historical romance, particularly set in that era. Are they all alike? I mean, I don't know. I really enjoyed this book, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that maybe books of that subgenre are a bit repetitive. I feel like I read a good one, so I'm kind of like, do I risk it? Do I risk these good feelings I have about this one by reading another one? I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments if you've read a lot of that particular subgenre. The next book I want to talk about is a contemporary romance, so this fits the second part of week 1's prompt, and that is Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. So in this one we follow our main character Ruthie, who is a very anxious, tidy young woman who spends most of her time actually at her job. She works at a retirement community and she is extremely devoted to her job. She has all sorts of lists and routines that she sets in place to prevent anything bad from happening. She gets very anxious if anything goes wrong, and she tries to prevent anything from going wrong by using these coping mechanisms. Some of it, she's just a typical Virgo personality traits, but as we'll see in the book, there's something pretty traumatic that happened to her as a teenager that has kind of prompted a lot of these behaviors. Ruthie's character is very sweet and innocent, and so, of course, you know, she's going to become interested in the bad boy, and the bad boy's name is Teddy. He is the son of a property developer who has just purchased the retirement community, and he's really not involved in the family business, but his dad wants to teach him some responsibility. So he sends him to the retirement community to get a job, and he wants to be a tattoo artist. So we'll see that kind of play into the plot line as well. But he ends up working for two of the residents. These two ladies are my favorite characters in this book. Aggie and Renata are really a dynamic duo. These two are little 90-year-old Spitfires, and they will give Teddy a run for his money. Previous young men who have served as their personal assistant have failed miserably at the job because Aggie and Renata are pretty demanding. They are very vocal, very demanding. I think they're so funny, they're so brash, and they are genuinely nice, but they can definitely be difficult, as Teddy will find out. If you've seen the cover to this book, you know that turtles must be involved somehow, and there is a particular species of turtle that lives at this retirement community, and apparently they are endangered, but they have flourished here. And a lot of that is due to Ruthie, because Ruthie had to abandon her dream of being a veterinarian, but she has used a lot of that passion in trying to nurse back to health some of the injured turtles, and so the population there has really increased. And we'll see that play a pivotal role in the plot. Really saw that part coming. But overall, this was a super, super cute romance. I really enjoyed it. This is the second Sally Thorne book that I've read, and the other was The Hating Game, and I liked both of them, and I will say they're very different. So that was one of my concerns going into this Autumn Amour event, is that some of the plot lines and some of the feelings would kind of be recycled, and I'm sure that's true for some romance authors, but with her in particular, I've only read 2 of her books. I think she has another one, but they're both very different, and I really enjoyed them both. I like this one probably better, though, than The Hating Game, and a lot of that I think has to do with the characters Renata and Aggie. They were just a hoot, and I could totally picture them in my mind, so that made it a lot of fun. The last book I want to talk about is The Hot Ladies Murder Club by Anne Major. This book fits the second week prompt for spicy. I mean, can't get more spicy than that, I figured. I will say, though, the other 2 books, if you're talking about spice levels, they had some spice in them too. Nothing too crazy. This book, believe it or not, got a little dark. Okay, so even though it looks kind of, lighthearted and comedic from the title, to me it kind of looked that way anyway, it was a bit dark. We follow our main character, Hannah, who is a real estate agent in Texas, but it becomes clear she is running from a very dark past. And actually, the first chapter is from the viewpoint of the villain, and I did like that, how interspersed throughout the book we got some of the villain's perspective, even though we didn't necessarily know who that villain was. But we do find out that Hannah is running from an abusive relationship, a very abusive relationship in England, and she did have family members in the United States, and so she has come to Texas and changed her identity, and unfortunately she's been drawn into a frivolous lawsuit. Enter Joe Campbell, who is the attorney that is suing Hannah in this frivolous lawsuit. And Joe Campbell is kind of described as one of those very cutthroat lawyers. His face is all over billboards in the city, and he's not very liked. He has ruined a lot of people's lives, and so he has enemies as well. Because of this lawsuit, Hannah is worried that her location and her true identity will be revealed. And so we will see this romance develop between Joe and Hannah. And that's very interesting how that develops. But where does the title come from? The title actually comes from Hannah and some of her girlfriends when they are at a biker bar. They come up with this idea to get revenge against all of the lawyers who have done them wrong. And of course, they are not really plotting to kill anyone. This is just, a gag. This is just a joke. And so they call themselves the Hot Ladies Murder Club. I did enjoy the character of Taz, who is Hannah's next door neighbor and really close friend. She is a school principal, and she seems kind of wild though. She's kind of out there. She has a little love interest with this burly biker who they call Charger. And yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. The ending of this book was pretty ridiculous in that, it's one of those books where the villain has to kind of go through point by point an explanation of what has happened and make all of these connections. And, I don't know, but I hate when that happens because it just feels so forced and so awkward. And yeah, I don't know. This book was okay. I mean, I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but all of the books so far, they are very easy reading, which is wonderful because I think I needed that. Sometimes when you get super busy and you're reading some pretty heavy stuff or some stuff you really have to think about, it's kind of nice to pick up something and just kind of escape. You don't have to think too hard about it. The plot lines, they're not going to be too complicated, especially this one if the villain goes through and explains everything to you point by point at the end. So I'm excited to see what else the month will bring. I like romance. I'm leaning toward contemporary because so far that is my favorite of the books that I have read. But My American Duchess was good. Again, I just have questions about this genre. If you guys are reading anything romance this month, let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.